I'd like to welcome everyone to the 27 June 2022 Jackson County Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. At this time, I'd like Mr. Manning, our county administrator, please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rich?
Here.
Mr. Venable?
Present.
Mr. Butler? Mr. McBride?
Here.
We do have a quorum. At this time, we'd like everyone to rise and like to ask Mr. Porter, our county attorney, to please offer our invocation, and I will lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Lord God, our Father in heaven, we are truly blessed to be Americans and citizens of this wonderful county. As we approach our day of independence, God, we're just so thankful that we are able to live as a free country still and continuously. Thankful for the freedoms that we have that help us always to remember that freedom is not free and there is a cost to our freedom. And we just pray that we're able to pay that cost each and every day. Thank you for those that choose to serve our public in different ways. And pray you'll bless them, bless their families for their service. We're thankful for all your blessings. Watch over this county and watch over all of us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the packet is the agenda for today's meeting. We do have a good bit of business in our new business portion of the meeting, and we have several items to discuss in our work session for this afternoon. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, do we have any awards or presentations? If none, okay. Next item, any public comment today?
No one signed up.
Okay, no one signed up. Thank you very much. So with that, we'll move into the new business portion of our meeting. As I said, we have several items on the agenda today. First, the minutes for our June 13th meeting is in the packet. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes as provided from the June 13th, 2022 meeting?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Have a second?
I'll second the
We
motion.
have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We had discussed in our last work session request by our Office of Revenue to approve the 6-month extension of a temporary employee for revenue commission and mapping and appraisal.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Excuse me, any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Also, in the last session, we had discussion of the litigation and insolvents for the year 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the litigation and insolvents in the year of 2021 for Revenue Commission Office?
I'll make that motion as well.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We also discussed in the last meeting the Bank Corps South account and a discussion to close that account. Paperwork is in the minutes or in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve closing Bank Corps South bank account and transfer funds to the First Southern State Bank?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Public Works presented at our last work session a proposal to install a pipeliner on Main Street in section. That area is starting to see some degradation. And so that proposal and the bid quote of $30,690 is in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve Public Works installation of PVC pipeliner for Main Street project in section?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We had a discussion at the last meeting about the Homeland Security grant for EMA. Do I have a motion to approve Homeland Security grant for EMA?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Any questions from our EMA office? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have the recommendations from the hiring committee for a substitute bus driver position for rural public transportation at Council of Aging. That packet of recommendations is or letters of recommendations in our packet. Do I have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for substitute bus driver positions for rural public transportation at Council of Aging?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
I'm just
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries.
Like I say, I'm happy to see this one, go mayor coming back to work for the county.
Yes, we also have the opportunity to have a backup.
Yeah.
Next, I would propose that we take about a 15-minute executive session to discuss the next motion.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and take them second.
We have a motion to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a recommendation from the hiring committee for selection of a director for the Parks and Recreation Department. Do I have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for Parks and Recreation Director position?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Also next on the agenda is a motion to approve and sign the annual rural public transportation contract with ALDOT. Before we start, if I could turn that over to our Council of Aging for discussion.
Thank you, gentlemen. What this is, it's our annual 5311 Rural Public Transportation Grant through ALDOT that we have to do annually. We have to file that to receive FTA funding for the bus transportation services. And the only difference in this one that you have in front of you versus the one that we've done in the past 2 years is the CARES Act money has been eliminated. So our operations budget was at 100% for the past 2 years, and now it's back to 50-50, which is the way it was before COVID. So that is the only difference. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve and sign the annual rural public transportation contract with ALDOT?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussions or questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is a motion to approve ARPA funds utilization plan for Council of Aging as presented. The recommended uses, and by the way, this is will not use all of the funds. This is what a current use. There will be other times that we will bring recommendations before the commission. And this is the list that we discussed at our last
Yes,
meeting.
exact same
So,
list, yes.
do I have a motion to approve ARPA funds utilization plan for Council of Aging as presented?
I'll make the motion, but also want to be clear, these ARPA funds didn't come out of the county's ARPA funds.
Good point. It does not.
No, this is the 144,851 that TARCOG awarded to us.
Second.
And do I have a second?
Thanks.
We have a second. Any further discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We have been tasked by, it's in the packet here, by ACCA to appoint next year's commission member to serve on the legislative committee with ACCA. I know that the intent of the commission is to let every commissioner serve a term of a year. Commissioner Rich is completing his term. I believe in the past it's gone commissioners 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. I don't know. I'll leave that for discussion. So if that is the case, it would be 3, and then next year would be 4. But I'll leave that. So do I have
I'll make a motion, we put Kevin McBride on it, since AJ's not here today.
Okay, so we have a motion to nominate Commissioner McBride as member to serve on the legislative committee for ACCA.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye. And in the past, it hasn't went.
No.
I've been here 10 years and I've never been on it.
Okay.
Got to get a motion in a second.
What did they say about presuming? I guess I made a mistake there. Okay. Next, in the agenda is a motion to approve and appoint 2 members to the E911 board. The term is set to expire in 2026. In the packet is, first of all, is the sheet we keep about who all is on the committee or on the board. It is for a 4-year term. Will expire in 4 years. There are 7 members. All are appointed by the commission. The 2 members that terms are expiring, Bill Knight, he was appointed in 2018 to the current term. The next is Ryan Putman. Ryan Putman was appointed in November of last year to fill an unexpired term for a period of 6 months. Candidates that we have that have applied: Ryan Putman has applied, Joshua Whitcomb has applied, and Joshua would ask that you please step out of the room. Mr. Eddie Teague has applied, Bill Knight has reapplied, and Brandon Phillips has applied. So we have 2 positions to fill. Do I have a nomination for a position?
I'll make a nomination for Ryan Putman.
Say that again, please.
Ryan Putman.
Ryan Putman.
Second that.
And we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion, Ryan Putman to return. We need a second nominee.
I'd like to nominate Bill Knight to be reappointed.
Okay, Bill Knight is a motion to appoint Bill
Second.
Knight. Do I have a
I'll
second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we have filled the positions for 911. Next in the packet is we have a position to fill on the Economic Development Authority Board. We have 1 position to fill. It is for a 4-year term. There are 7 members to this board. 1 member is appointed by the local state senator, 1 member appointed by each local state representative, 1 member appointed by consensus of the local delegation, and 3 members appointed by the Jackson County Commission. One of the members that we have appointed, Mr. Jim Green, term is expiring. This term was from 2018 to 2022. He has been a member of the board since 1984. Applying for this position, Mr. Green is applying for reappointment. Mr. Rick Wheeler, his application is in the packet. Mr. Jeremy Edwards and Mr. Michael Counts. Do I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Jim Green.
We have a nomination of Jim Green. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Green will be reappointed to the position. So with that, we have completed our new business portion of the agenda. At this time, we will move into the work session. We have several discussion items. First, EMA. We have been in discussion of the Skyline School storm shelter, so we'd just like EMA to give us an update.
Nothing heard back from FEMA on whether or not they'll accept a scaled back archaeological survey. The intent was to visit the school last week and talk with Mr. McNutt about probably moving that shelter to another place on the property now that we've got a little bit better map. But due to Mr. Butte passing away last week and having a funeral and all that thing, out of respect for those folks, we put that off until probably after the holiday. But we will go out there and talk with them and see if they're interested in placing it somewhere else on the property, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, any questions, comment? Okay, thanks. Next, to Public Works, several items. We have County Road 74, County Road 17, County Road 189 to discuss. Also, like our county administrator to discuss a necessary budget amendment. With that, let me turn it over to Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Chairman, gentlemen. I'll start with the construction agreement that you should find in your information, hopefully. And this is a standard state agreement presented to us for County Road 74, which is old 72. And it's for the section of 74 from 209-77, approximately 1 mile to the Tennessee state line. The funding source, as identified, it represents a 50-50 cost share between the state and the county, and the figures are there for the total. And the other terms that are essentially standard for state funds are contained within this agreement. So I can go into any of those if there are questions.
Is there a deadline on this proposal?
No, to my knowledge, the chairman, you may know more about that.
I think we have 1 year from the time of the agreement to execute.
Yeah, did that get your question, or what you're talking about?
I was talking about if we weren't planning on doing this now, would that go away, or would we?
Yeah,
opportunity.
I'm not certain. Again? I'm not certain on that. So if I can tell you this, if we are interested in moving forward, then it will require resolution by this body as well as a signed agreement. You know, after that resolution, a signed agreement back to the state. And then the way that would proceed, we would still be charged with developing a plan set, and then certifications as it relates to right-of-way, utility relocation, agreeing to the funding terms, etc. And then we would have to be issued a notice to proceed before we could start work.
When was this cost analysis done? Was it done before fuel prices went up?
Yeah, we went back and rechecked. There has been, from the last annual bid award on fuel, and then the projects that have taken place since then, there has been anywhere from a 2 to 4% increase. But we felt okay with our estimate as far as being relatively close on it.
And we had 3 projects already in request. Mathaney's Bridge, County Road 47, and didn't we have another one, wasn't they 3? That we had made requests on a few years ago when we got assistance with Mathaney's Bridge. It wasn't ST dollars, but I'm not sure what
We had requested County Road 61.
61. Well, why is 74 become more
I'll explain
important?
that. I'm not saying that it's more important. I got, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I got a short notice, one day request to go see John Cooper. And while in the meeting, he asked us anything he could do. I had data on this road. We had a incident on 74 about a year ago. Ms. Nash had riding the road, her tire had blown out. Of course, that happens a number of places, I understand that. Commissioner Rich had gotten a call from some folks, and he had called me, so I had gotten with Jonathan, so that we had gone to take a look at the road at the time. I asked John to give me the date on the road, so this was one I had data on at this opportunity to meet with John Cooper. And so when he asked me that, I gave him the data about the volume of traffic that we have on 74, about some of the issues we've had with it. And well, in that meeting, he said, is there anything I can help you with? This was the road I had information on.
Would they be willing to help us on the rest of our county roads that needs to be fixed?
74,
Mr. Rich, I'm certainly willing to go back to John Cooper and
Be
ask
nice
for a
to-
lot of help.
Yeah.
74 runs parallel to 72. So I know it has a high traffic count, but they have an alternate route with very, very minimal addition to their travel time. And County Road 33, where I live, I mean, the side of the mountain there, you don't have an alternate route. I mean, it's miles out of the way. Same thing with County Road 21 and County Road 107. That road is all to pieces, and there's no alternate route yet. If you turn out of your driveway, you gotta go one way or the other on 107, so. I just bring that up to say, you know, if we're gonna put $130,000 toward a project, we could pave about 4 miles of road of our local roads with that money, chip seal.
This would be, I guess we could use that money for local roads. We have an opportunity here for the state to pay half of the cost to resurface Hot Mixer Road. I will say and this happens a lot, I understand that, but while we were viewing the road, we had a gentleman come up and said, you guys please do something with this road. It's an embarrassment to the county because it is the road that people ride in on when they're coming in across the Tennessee state line, and there's a marker right there that says, welcome to Jackson County. And then you ride on this road. So again, it was me. It was a road I had some information on. It was a road I could think of. He was willing to share cost of a road. So this is the road that I requested. We can go back and say no, but I'm not sure that what his position will be.
Well, it just concerns me, like I said, in my district alone, I mentioned those 3 roads, there's others, but I mean, you got people that's having to get on the wrong side of the road to miss bad places in the road. 74 has not got to that point, but I know it's an embarrassment, and I agree to that, and I agree that it needs a surface put on it, but it's not got to the point where it may cost somebody their life because they're having to get on the wrong side of the road to miss rough places in the road.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? So as we proceed forward on this, is the commission's position not to accept this offer from AlDOT on this road? Or put it on the agenda for new business next week for discussion? Any questions or discussion? Okay, thank you. Next, for discussion, County Road 17.
Please find in your packet some more information regarding an agreement, and this agreement was previously executed for the County Road 17 project. I have more stuff on mine, but
The one that you set up here, maybe?
yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
So within the agreement, the terms are listed, and this is a standard agreement that we use should the need arise to work adjacent to the right-of-way, off the right-of-way, but work pertaining to roads and bridges throughout the county. And it's generic in a sense that the form stays the same and we fill in pertinent information. So I'll just reiterate that this was back in 2020 when we initiated contact with the property owner. This is the same property owner that I mentioned in review of that project that was generous enough to donate the right-of-way in the area of the slide, as well as provide a waste site for our disposal of the material that was removed from the slide area. And the terms are listed, and part of our obligation at that time was, and I'm just skipping on down to where you see the third initials by that property owner. And it says the owner desires to have surplus excavation material placed on owner's property. Property will be graded, seeded, and stabilized. So we did all that, at least we thought we did all that to the best of our ability. And I've attached further on some photos. One is the photo that went along with that agreement that identifies the area of easement where the material was placed. And the other photos were provided by the property owner recently and points to the fact that vegetation was having trouble establishing this area. So after further review of the site and walking, you can also see areas where rills have occurred, and then the rills have grown into washes and gullies. And a lot of this, I feel certain, is the soil makeup of the material that we placed in there. So although we seeded, actually on more than one occasion, we placed riprap check dams near the drainage structure. We placed silt fence, straw bales to control erosion. Over the time that has elapsed since that project was done, there's still an issue with vegetation becoming permanently established. So the property owner has reached back out to us and asked us if we could please provide him some topsoil for this area, and he would take care of spread it out and work from that point forward to reestablish vegetation, and he also mentioned contours that he would like to reestablish. So I mentioned this to the chairman. He advised that I come before you to ask permission for this. We have on our yard somewhere between 6 to 10 loads of suitable material we feel would be suitable for this, and it was back when the park, there was excavation taking place at the park, we had stockpiled it and removed it, I believe. So I've spoken with the property owner about that possibility, and he is agreeable to that.
That'd be enough to do the problem, fix it.
That was consistent with the load count that he mentioned. I have some concern that it may not cover that whole area, but he was okay with seeing what we could do with that amount.
No, where there's a lot of dirt you could get for free. Yeah, marginal topsoil, but it would be good but the guys want, it's a local project, Scottsboro. They had to just push it up in a mound where they grubbed out a low place and built a pad back, but it's free for the taking.
Okay, that's good information. I would propose if we exceed what we have there, and then we can look further, if that's
Can we do that by next meeting?
Sure.
Okay, put this on your business agenda for next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That property worked out very convenient, and I want to express my gratitude to Mr. Lee Meister and the family for allowing us to do that. But Mr. Rich was about to.
It would have costed, there ain't no telling if we had to haul that down to Scottsboro.
Yes, sir.
Haul it anywhere other than right there where it was at.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? No comments? Next, County Road 189.
In and about the construction and repair of the slide project that completed, when I say it's completed, the road work is yet to be completed, but what we started with was a road that was not in good shape initially, but the construction traffic and the other work that took place there with heavy equipment, on-road trucks, off-road equipment, and it extends beyond just the area of repair due to the limited areas for maneuverability and turning around. It actually, the photos you see are consistent with the road condition all the way to the top of the mountain. So at the very top, that 1.7 miles is proposed would represent all of that. So the project that would be the top of the mountain all the way down to County Road 74, which don't take care of every issue on County Road 189, but it definitely takes care of the construction area and all the worst.
There's some mad folks up there. I know I talked to one of them, and he blessed me out real good about it. But I told him, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I think there was some concern that we'd forgotten about them, but I felt pretty good after the last meeting, which they were in attendance of, that, it felt like good communication, that some reassurance there that we actually haven't forgotten about you, we just haven't taken up local roads at this moment. So, they were.
That's exactly what I told him.
Yeah.
He said he didn't care about any other roads but this road. And I just he left a bad taste in my mouth, and he's supposed to have been a friend, but, you do what you can do. And I mean, we knew that we was gonna mess this road going up and down, but us doing it, fixing it, you just can't snap your fingers and do it.
Yes, sir. I apologize if any miscommunication happened from our end.
Well, let me offer the discussion we had in the meeting, and maybe I misunderstand here, but they understood that. They clearly understood it's going to take time. They didn't expect us to do this immediately. They just are wanting to, if we can get this on the list and get it addressed in the future. They did ask, there are a couple of places in the road if we can do some filling, I believe it was, Jonathan, if we could do that. And so, but they understand this could take a while and that we go on the list. So.
The second sheet that's behind the photos, that's just some information so you can grasp the condition and the concerns. The second photo, there's a highlighted fund there, and it's Fund 119, and that's severed material tax. So back prior discussions when we talked about Rebuild Alabama project, County Road 58 in particular, it was a federal aid exchange fund account that was to fund that. The projected amount for the project would clearly exceed what federal aid exchange amount had in it, and it was approved to take the remaining funds for that project from Fund 119. So that's what the scribbles and the math represent. County Road 58 is complete with the exception to final striping and markers. So that $540,000 represents that work in it, even though it hasn't occurred and it's not final, but that's our estimate of what that will be. The Federal Aid Exchange Fund paid for $400,000 of that, and that leaves a remaining $140,000 that would come from Fund 119. The highlighted number that you see directly across listed in this account balance under 119, less $140,000, would leave $125,000 in Fund 119, and our estimate is at 110 for County Road 189. So what we are proposing is to approve this project if you see fit, and the project in its entirety be funded from 119, and that's completely. So that's materials, equipment, labor.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Jonathan, could you go ahead and address 38? There are some current concerns I discussed with you about it going back to the gravel, and it's not, but could you?
Okay, start the resurfacing project.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there was some social media posts about returning a road to gravel. So what occurred on 38 was, as you all know, a pavement preservation project. Okay, so it was a scrub seal followed by a sand seal, and that's a two-part application. So potentially what was witnessed out there, misconceived, was gravel, which is a top coat with liquid asphalt under it. And the first application process is a bituminous liquid that's flooded on the roadway, and it's mechanically forced into the cracks of the roadway, and it's topped with a crushed aggregate stone. So that's an 89 stone, a small gravel, which would potentially make folks think that a roadway is being turned into gravel. The second process after sweeping the first is actually a W10, a wash 10 size aggregate, which is, it's called manufactured sand, but it's a very fine aggregate. And the intent of that is to fill the voids of that first application. So the end product, although not immediate, looks like very similar to a hot mix paved roadway. However, it's not that, but it is, it comes to us at a fraction of the cost, and the purpose of that is just to preserve the roadway that exists there. So some of the comments that were raised were, you know, there was nothing wrong with the road, and that's good that folks, you know, potentially think that, and that's really good if what we're doing works, because that's what we're trying to preserve. So even though holes may not exist, distress, oxidation, cracks to where elements can enter was the sole purpose of the two-part application that occurred.
Now,
Yes, sir.
I got calls about the ridges being in it, so that was the first portion. They said it was had ridges
Oh, yes,
in
sir.
it. That was that first 89.
So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I appreciate it. So like with many other chip seal applications, it gets a little worse before it gets better. So there are loose material on the surface that has to migrate to the shoulders. And then the color is not immediate either. It darkens over time. So it will take shape, but it takes some time.
What about, since we're at it, social media is Knox Landing person people that live over there is getting excited about why 75 was getting the basic fixed. You know,
Right.
I mean, they don't understand it's two different type jobs.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard any more from the Knox Landing people?
I think I've seen the social media post you reference, and perhaps the confusion was a list of local roads that they had obviously come in contact with, and then the work that occurred on 75. So County Road 75, being a rebuild project, is following a different route versus local road paving. So it's our intent that all these projects will be complete. However, you know, a different contractor is working on 75, and then it required a scrub seal before the overlay. So that work was completed, and I think that's what brought on the concern. But the root of the concern is Knox Landing getting paved, and so the good news on that front is we have been reassured that this paving season, we should not expect any different than to see that road surface.
She texts me about once a week demanding a date, and I told her,
Yeah,
that's the same situation with 189. You know, the people's getting antsy.
right,
I mean,
right.
They want it, and you know, it's just this satisfaction. You know, get to where every time you turn around, somebody's griping and bitching about something, about the roads. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, we can't do them all at one time.
Any other questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next to discuss is a budget amendment that we need to make. I'll turn it over to the county administrator.
Look, this will follow similar to the one we did last meeting with sanitation. On the first page, we're looking at the budget for fuels and the amount of the increase due to the pricing and what's happening with the index on diesel fuel. There'll be an increase in that for $55,000. Gets to the end of the year, of the budget year. Now, on the vehicle maintenance scenario is basically parts, trucks breaking down, trying to find parts, if they can find the parts to get them back on the road, the pricing of the parts. very similar to our situation in the sanitation department. And in contract services, basically the increase there that you're looking at is relative to the payment for all the slide work that came in this year, repairs. And Jonathan could be a little more specific on that particular one. When we met and discussed that, he's more familiar with the different calculations on that one. And that's taking that contract services budget from $750,000 to $1 million, and adding a $1,357,000 to it, bringing it up to $2,107,497 on that one. And there'll be, if you look at the second box, there'll also be an increase in revenues of $591,680. For some reimbursements that will be coming, was not budgeted. And then the third box shows the amended revenues, the amended expenditures, and the deficit between the two of $833,000. There is sufficient cash in the fund to cover that. So the recommendation would be use the cash balance of the fund that has built up over the past couple of years. A lot of that from the repair work we've done on the slides in-house. Correct, Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
So the recommendation is to use the cash balance to cover that deficit in the fund for this year, to get it accurately stated. And then as we go into the next budget year, we'll have to really take a good look at all of these items once again, especially the fuel and vehicle maintenance that we'll be looking at. So this will be, actually that part will be covered in the budget meetings that are coming up over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, any questions?
Questions?
I'm pretty sure gas prices are not gonna go down no time soon. Anybody checked on getting electric trucks, those and stuff?
Electric dozer. I understand the fuels and vehicle maintenance, the contract services, I'm sorry. Is this the best way to handle it for accounting purposes? Because, you know, this is a unique situation where we've had these 4 slides and we're getting revenues in. We just, you know, the commissions in the future is gonna have to be careful when they project revenues and expenditures, going back and looking at this data when we lump it in with other things.
That's good. But it does need to be amended. There is plenty of cash balance to cover that deficit. We could have done that at last budget session had we known how much we would have been paying out this year. I guess at that time, we didn't have an idea of how much contract work we would actually be paying for this upcoming year.
I remember saying we was just gonna handle as it came in, because we didn't know what.
We were looking at it last year and trying to look at the amount of revenues that would be coming in for reimbursements as well as the expenditures for all the contract work. And last July, or whenever we were doing that, we didn't have an accurate way to look at the number, what the number would be. But we did know we had sufficient cash reserves in there to cover that. So it's, again, John, our engineer Mike could add a little more into that. If I've left anything out, but it's basically on the slides and the contract work for the slides.
When will we get reimbursed for the work on that? Will it be another year, 2 years, 5 years?
We have a lot of reimbursement presently, and the reimbursement on the revenue side would reflect that. However, we have requested final inspection, so we know we won't get, 20% plus until that final inspection takes place.
Okay, so we'll take this up new business next meeting. Okay, With that, we'll move to reports from the staff. County Administrator, County Engineer.
Please be advised that County Road 41 between County Road 605 and County Road 341 will be closed for a cross drain replacement beginning Tuesday, July 12th, between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. So the closure could last 2 days, depending on weather and site conditions encountered, but hopefully it'll be accomplished in 1 day.
Okay.
So the advertisement as far as mass output will be forthcoming.
But it will be open at 9 if there need to be.
Yes, sir, from 3 p.m. till 7 the next morning. It will be open.
Okay. County Attorney?
I don't have anything, sir.
Okay. A couple of things. I'd like to introduce our new Director of Sanitation, Mr. Randy Ryder. He has been on board about a week now, and thanks for being there and being a part of the team. Also, David's in his last week with us, but we did have an incident at the park on Saturday night, and I've asked him to give you just a status of that and actions being taken.
Okay, yes, sir. Saturday night, our weekend employee made his rounds and locked up the kiddie park, checked the restroom, locked up the fence as he does every night. It's a 6-foot chain link fence. Everything was in order and fine. Sunday morning, he made his rounds to unlock and noticed a lot of water out in the playground area coming from the bathroom area. So we went to check it out, and as you can see, both restrooms were vandalized pretty heavily. They ripped out the sinks in one and ripped out most of the plumbing and partially dislodged the sink and toilet in the other. Tore the paper towel dispensers and soap dispensers off, among other things. And the amount of water that was flowing was pretty incredible. If you notice in the second picture on the second page, directly behind the toilet, that is a full roll of paper towels that was on the wall in the dispenser, and that roll of paper towels was completely waterlogged. So that gives you an idea of the amount of water that ran out of the broken plumbing for probably several hours. Ran all the way down into the playground area. You can see where water had gone all that way. So the police were called. The police are doing a report. Once they get that report done, they told me it would probably be Tuesday, tomorrow. And at that point, they would have an investigator get in touch with us to see what can be found, see if we can figure out who did it. It was quite a chore to do. As I say, it's a 6-foot chain link fence that's completely locked. It locks the area away, so they had to climb the fence and get over and around into the restrooms. So that would indicate that they know where the restrooms are. So they're familiar with the place to do that. Can't speculate on why somebody would do it or who it might have been, but the police will hopefully be able to make some progress on that. I've been in contact, Bob put me in contact with our insurance company. They're going to have an adjuster out. I just talked to the gentleman just before I came over here. He's going to be out in the next day or two. I don't know what the situation will be as far as our deductibles and all that, but there's obviously a good bit of work needs to be done there with the plumbing. And I haven't looked closely, but when our insurance people are here looking, we'll look there. My guess is there's probably going to be some damage to some of the wood as well from water damage. So it might be to the point they need a complete rebuild. But again, I don't know what would provoke somebody to do this kind of thing or who it might have been that did it, but we're working to get it repaired.
So we had closed the playground area
Yes,
for
sir.
today.
We closed it yesterday, obviously, until we got here this morning. We did order 2 porta potties, which are sitting right by the entrance. I wanted to get them inside the fence, but really couldn't do that because they have to be serviced by the sewer company and they couldn't get their trucks close enough. They need to have their hose is about 30 feet. So that limited us a little bit on that, but they're in a good spot, and we have the restrooms closed off, locked, and security tape up that will hopefully keep people out there during the time. And we have reopened it. Obviously, it's a very, very popular place. Just in the 20 or 30 minutes that I was there yesterday morning, there were half a dozen people coming in. Wanted to close, sorry,
Okay.
we'll get it back open as soon as we
We need to
can.
run those cameras out.
There are no cameras there.
And that's, I was going to suggest that needs to be part of our future discussion. There are
Yeah.
certain areas of the park that we ought to consider putting up
I
cameras.
know we talked later on or a while back about maybe adding some bathrooms to the boat ramps and stuff. This is probably what's going to happen then. That does happen.
Yeah.
Not being on our fence and stuff.
Yeah, and I know it's not a problem unique to us. As a matter of fact, I was at Nakalua Falls down in Gadsden a few weeks ago with some of my family at the campground there for an event, and they were telling me that the last time they were there, that somebody had destroyed bathrooms down there in much the same way. So, but security cameras, the only one we currently have at the park is at the campground gate. That's the only one we have.
Porta potties aren't staked down.
Yeah.
Need to stake them or strap them to the ground. Well, also with this type of activity, people will push them over and tip them over, and trust me, I've come in on my job sites more than once and see it laying down, and it makes for a bad day, plus $120 to clean it up.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, any other of our staff? Okay, with that, now we'll now move to comments from the commission. District 4, Commissioner McBride.
I have nothing to add, thank you, sir.
District 2, Commissioner Venable.
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, District 1, Commissioner Rich.
I got one to Bob. How much money of the ARPA funds that we got that had been spent that we could possibly maybe go on roads?
Well, the total amount the county's getting is just a shade over like $10,029,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look up the projects we've paid for. I'm thinking we've spent about maybe $400,000 or $500,000 at this point.
Right.
How much have we committed?
Yeah, we've obligated.
Oh,
We've obligated a lot more than that.
Obligated a lot more than that. That's like the last chart that we always.
I mean, since they approved fixing roads, I think we need to look about it and try to get, if we can't get our do it ourselves, contract it out and get it done. Get some of these roads done, get some of these people. There's people out there that's getting very dissatisfied and disgusted with our road system. I mean, everywhere you turn, I mean, it's pothole here, pothole there, pothole, and then if we can borrow the money, we can't pay it back. I mean, we got to do what we got while we take advantage of this money that we've got. We might not get ARPA money again. I mean, and I know the courthouse needs to be work done. I'd a whole lot rather have the courthouse fixed. This is me talking, nobody else. And the roads fixed, but people could care less about going over here behind the cattleman's steakhouse and buying a tag or whatever. That you go out there and talk to people. Roads is the main thing of our county. I mean, it's embarrassing you gotta go up on County Road 74 on Old 72. It's embarrassing to go anywhere in Jackson County right now. And that's something I think we need to talk about.
So I think we need to take that up as we get into our budget hearings, about where we go, what are some of the issues that we are going to have to pay. If we don't use ARPA money for it, we're going to do it anyhow, and we're going to have to borrow there. I absolutely agree with that, Danny. Commissioner Rich. We've got to do something with roads.
I know,
We've got to do something, and we got to look for every source of funding that we can.
and I know, here a while back, Mr. Livingston was wanting us to borrow money to fix our 10 years of road tax money. Well, if we do that, what's going to happen in 10 years when we need to fix the roads again? You know, I mean, it's just a never-ending situation.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
the last chart that we had, I think we had, and again, I can get you an update on those, but we had some water projects that we allocated, I think, $2 million or something for water projects.
Right.
And then there was, the situation with courthouse ventilation issues, and the jails has a major ventilation and HVAC situation over there. So all of those are on that list. I have to get you the exact totals, but, it's the same chart that you guys will be making a decision on.
okay, so we need to review that as we get into our budget hearings. Okay? I have nothing further to add other than say thanks for everyone being here and thanks for everyone that's listening in. So with that, our next meeting is scheduled for July the 11th, 2022. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second, all in favor, say aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.